Hey guys, I just finished watching episode 2 of the Halo TV series, and if I'm honest, I was expecting a dumpster fire of an episode, after hearing quite a few negative reviews online before it released. Well, to be pretty blunt, I didn't think this episode was good, but I also didn't think it was bad by any means. I think it was above average, and there were certain elements I really enjoyed, but there were also parts that I didn't really like that much, and we will get into that. So to kick it off, I really enjoyed the opening. Seeing a younger Master Chief with a younger Soren was honestly really cool, and I found it quite interesting seeing Soren's mangled arm, which was a result of the augmentations. Now, a lot of Spartan 2s kind of got fucked up during the augmentations, so I thought this was good attention to detail, and I liked seeing that. And the younger actors looked pretty spot on when you compare them to their older counterparts. We do see a really cool shot of Chief and Quan traveling through slip space. Seeing the blue and purple energy just wrap itself around the Condor was something I was not expecting to see, but I quite liked that. The main plot of this episode sees the Master Chief and Quan arriving to this lawless colony called Rubble, and here we got our first glimpse at the forklift. Now, I've got to say, this took my breath away, but on a serious note, it was cool seeing the Master Chief push back the forklift and the boxes. It of course makes sense, seeing he's a super soldier. Nonetheless, I enjoyed that scene. Chief meets back up with Soren, and here we can see he's raised a family, going the total opposite direction of the Master Chief, who chose to stick with the Spartan program. We see Chief take off his Mjolnir armor, showing just his undersuit, and the undersuit was very cool. Now, here's my big gripe with this episode, and this is where it pulls down the rating for me. Chief didn't wear his helmet for almost the entire episode, besides the beginning and the ending. I am 100% all for world building and character building, however, the Master Chief is a character who would never ever take off his helmet in a place like this, especially in an environment that he's not familiar in. It just didn't seem right to me that Chief had his helmet off for almost the entire time he was there. I think Pablo Schreiber is a great actor, and even in this episode he was expressing a lot of emotions. When the Master Chief was dealing with Reth, the crackpot, or the guy who was a bit of a loony, he almost came across to me as Christian Bale's Batman. You guys may agree or disagree with me here, but honestly, Chief in this scene to me came off as Batman, or a variation of Christian Bale's Batman. I had nothing against it per se, I just thought it was a little out of character for Chief to be up in the guy's face. However, I do understand Chief was trying to understand more details about what the guy was saying. Because he was a bit of a crackpot, he was going off in these tangents, saying some weird shit, and Chief lost his patience. Although, I'm expecting some of you guys to say to me that Chief would not have lost his patience with someone like that. Shifting back over to the Covenant, we did have a scene in High Charity, showing the three prophets of mercy, truth, and regret, as well as Maquis, as well as a special black elite, which many of us assume to be the Arbiter, although that's still yet to be confirmed. Maquis basically asks to go after the Forerunner object, and the prophets at first don't want to send her, but then she says that she can blend in with humans, which of course makes sense because she's a bloody human. The scene between all of them was really cool, but at the end she says she will go to find the keystone, which means that no doubt she'll cross paths with the Master Chief, and I am curious / worried to see how that will go. We did also see a UNSC council meeting. We did have politics with the UNSC and Oni in the Halo books, so there's nothing wrong with them having it in the show, although it wasn't really that interesting in my opinion. Besides the fact that they talk about Cortana, and the way Cortana will kind of suppress the Master Chief's emotions, which I do think Halsey is lying, which she's known to do. Now, very quickly, I want to go back to the guy called Reth. He calls the Master Chief a Blessed One, and as we saw in episode 1, Maquis was also called Blessed One by Mercy. So not only are they destined to meet, but they are the only two humans, as far as we are aware, that have the ability to activate this Forerunner object. As Reth says to us, that object is the key to finding the Halo ring, and as the Master Chief finds out, it is a weapon far worse than anything he has ever seen before. One small thing I found cool was that the Master Chief was talking about seeing glassings, and as we know, the Covenant glassed so many planets before they got to Reach. So I would love to see that in live action, and just see the visual glory that would be, seeing the Covenant just glass a planet. So that's something to look out for in future episodes. Moving from that, the Master Chief leaves Quan behind, and I think this was a smart decision because I'd much prefer to have the story focus on the Chief and Silver Team, and there's nothing wrong with seeing Quan in future episodes, although I'd much prefer them to focus on the UNSC's fight against the Covenant and stuff going on with Madrigal. To end the episode, the Master Chief turns himself in, Silver Team retrieve him from the Condor, Halsey retrieves the object, and then talks to John about what he saw. While they're talking, we get a close-up look at Maquis. Should I say a real close look at Maquis? Bit more of an inspection, if I may. Here she reveals to us all that she is without a doubt a human, and I did find that quite interesting. The episode ends with a quick shot of a Halsey clone. Now, for some weird reason, people were thinking that this clone would be Cortana. That is false. Halsey will be using this clone to retrieve the brain tissue needed to create Cortana. With all of that said, I'm going to be giving this episode a 6.5 out of 10. It's lower than the first episode, and I'm really hoping episode 3 comes out with a bang and gives us a more balanced episode in terms of world building, story, as well as action. I am hopeful for the future of this series, and I am excited to see where it will go next. Alrighty guys, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a sub, and I'll catch you all on the next video. Have a good one.